Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Series 4, Episode number 6. We're today about coach-like conversations. We actually demonstrated that last week. This week, we're going to follow up on see what your experience has been, if you've tested it, tried it, use some of the basic principles of it. So welcome to the call. My name is Peter J. Redding. I'm a professional coach. I'm a master certified coach and I've been training for 25 years. And this is my gift back to the world, frankly, for people that are interested in what professional coaching is, and also those people that are interested in becoming perhaps a professional coach at some point in time in the future. So welcome to the call. Give me one little bit of a second here. Let's see if we can get yes. Fantastic. So coach-like conversation, Q&A. Last week, we talked about coach-like conversations, actually had a demonstration of that, so you could hear that live. If you haven't seen that or missed that by some chance, you can go back. It is recorded and available on Facebook and LinkedIn, YouTube right now. So we provided some structure. We gave a demonstration. And then at the last week's session, I asked you to practice this. Try it out. Take it for a spin. Have a conversation with a child, household, a relative, a coworker, a neighbor. And then I also ask you to notice what might be different about the type of conversation, what we call a coach-like conversation, in comparison to how you normally do conversations, or what people for in terms of how they should live their life or what they should do, all of those kinds of things. So we're going to explore all of that today. As a reminder, for those that missed last week, what we're talking about in terms of a coach-like conversation is have an invite to have a chat. So that might sound like, gee, it's been a while since we've been able to catch up. I've been really super busy. I'm just curious as to what's in your life that you'd care to share. As a child, I noticed you're spending a lot more time looking at a particular topic, whatever that might be. And I'm just really curious about, could you share a little bit about what's going on for you or what you're excited about? Any of those kinds of questions, kind of like an invitation to share. Once we've done that and the person says, yeah, I've got 10 minutes, I've got 15 minutes, then just a little bit of a clearing. We call it a clearing. It's really become present. So anything that you need to set aside, put your cell phone away, finish up what you're doing right now so that we can really, be together 10 or 15 minutes. That's the second part of it. Invite them to share about anything that they are interested in. Again, this is as a coach-like conversation. We're preparing you to become a coach where the client picks what they want to talk about. Right. The coach telling them what we're going to talk about. So we begin it in this little introductory piece. So what do you think? Days, what are you curious about? What are you learning more about? What do you want more about? What do you want more of in your life right now? And allow them to pick the topic. Anything at all. Be curious while you're listening. So be curious without leading. Don't interject stories, your strategies, your what have yous to it. Be supportive without giving them, again, your advice, judgments, opinions, recommendations, again, how you did, how they should do it, let go of all of that, and just let them share. Dig into it a little bit deeper. Be curious, be present, not just sit there like. But this is basically a coach-like conversation. This is not a formal coaching. We haven't gotten into professional coaching yet. We haven't gone through code of ethics with them, confidentiality with them, written agreement with them. There's all kinds of things that a professional coach would do. But what I've found over the last 2 years and having my students prepare for advanced coach training, where they might be training with me for 5 days, initial session, I've asked them to do this exercise. And this exercise have found that they start getting into the mindset of a professional coach. And it's just it's like a starter block, starting. Okay. Basic outline. Go into much more detail last week. But that's just a recap of what we talked about. So the thing that I want you to look at from your perspective as the facilitator of the coach-like conversation is to answer these 3 questions after each of those. Mentally write them down in a journal. Still a great idea. I love journaling. I was able to hold focus with this person X% of the time. Hold focus. In other words, I was fully present. Or was I distracted? I fell in the middle of it. Someone came in and asked me a question and I interrupted a conversation. So, it might have been, I was there. I was fully present on that individual for 50% of the time, and the other 50% of the time, my mind wandered. I was physically interrupted. I had to go to the door. I had whatever. So just noticing, not just noticing. I listened X% of the time. I mean, I really listened to what they were sharing, as opposed to rehearsing what I was going to ask them next, or figuring out, is this a good time to give them some strategy concepts in terms of how to do it better? Or was I really listening to what they were sharing? And finally, I ask you to ask yourself, I was able to hold back my opinion and suggestions X% of the time. So if you're above 90% in all of those categories, hip, hip, hooray. Well done. Congratulations. You're on your way to having a professional coach's mindset. All right. So that was the setup from last week. That's kind of where we left it. This week is going to Q&A. What did you notice? What was different? What was the benefits of this kind of a conversation from your side and perhaps from their side? Okay. So I'm going to invite you to actively get involved today. Those of you that are on the Zoom inner circle here, you can, when I ask a question on this particular topic, a coach-like conversation, and share your experiences of this particular exercise, self and for the person that you happen to have a conversation with, or you can type into the chat box. For those of you that are live on Facebook, I encourage you to type in the box on Facebook, and my able assistant, Cello, will get those to me so that I can see them on my platform. Okay, so here we go. So what was different from I'm going to call it a chat or a common chat where you were giving your opinions and advice? That's the first question. For those of you that have this or would imagine doing this, what was different about this? And if you could yourself, if you're in the Zoom room.
Peter, hi, this is Archana. Can I
Hi,
share?
Archana. How are you today?
I'm very good. Nice to be here and happy
Good.
to see you once again.
Thank you. Great.
So I think what's different is when I'm practicing this now is that I think it's giving the coachee a lot of time to reflect and introspect. And second, what I thought is that I think it also gives the coach the time not to get wrapped in their stories.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, for me to not my own story.
Yeah, so I think that's what I have seen as a benefit, when you're not giving opinions and advice. And yeah, it's
So
working.
I know that you've gone through some training, and I know that you are an expert in your field. So can you share a little bit about the transition from being an expert, having great advice to give to those that are less skilled in your particular field? Was that an easy transition for you to switch from expert to coach or coach-like mindset?
Okay. Good question, Peter. Wasn't very easy. Leadership facilitator. And by virtue of what I do, we generally are more in a directive style, largely 50 to 60% of time when we are doing our facilitation work. So initially it was tough. But now, telling people to hold on to, initially I was very uncomfortable with silence. And there was always this urge to complete the sentence or fill in the gaps. But I think there were some few conversations that happened where, initially you're struggling. Okay, what should I ask next? Where should I go next? Where do I take my coachee next? And while I was in the process of doing that, the coachees had to share a lot. And I think that was my journey or those aha moment to see that when you maintain that silence and give them that space, there is a lot more sharing that can unfold. Can be very powerful for a coach to further explore with the coachee.
Fabulous. Wow. Wow. So hugely insightful, hugely professional in terms of that transition from, okay, so I am a leadership training guru in my own right, and that tends to be more directive and where you do a lot of the talking, to holding the silence for the person that you've just asked the question. They can go deeper. Some cases they can also be uncomfortable with that, and for you to be okay with that discomfort, not just on your side but on their side. So congratulations. That is a major step from one kind of a mindset to the other. And I love that the perspective of it supports the client or the person sharing to go even maybe more deeply into, and this is also going on for me, or this is also what's happening, or this is also what I may want to try out or do in the future, rather than you coming in and saying, okay, so here's the 4 strategies that are successful in a situation. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's the ultimate benefit for the person that you're having a conversation with? How would you characterize that?
I think sometimes it allows them to go to a place where they've not been before. And I had a few conversations where the conversation veered towards those directions. And they saw value in that. And I also feel it sometimes gives time for the coach to reflect on in the room and using that to your advantage, for advantage in the sense from a coach's perspective. So I think silence works both ways, coachee and the coach.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. 10 gold stars to you, Archana. Well done.
Work in progress, Peter.
too. It is. To switch from one completely different mindset to whatever the different mindset might be, is practice that is a journey of mastery in and of itself. Like right now, I am a subject matter expert in the world of coaching. I am for 25 years. I know upwards, backwards, sideways, what happens, what could happen, what ought to happen, what's more powerful, blah, blah, blah. And move into a coaching mindset is very different than an subject matter expert mindset. And I can also tell you from the way you've shared, you have been able to negotiate that transition. Okay, so now I'm a coach. It's their agenda. They, I can have space and a silence for them to figure it out. Now I'm a subject matter expert in the world of leadership development, and I go into that. So well done. All right, who else have we got? We've got a chat over here. Yeah, go ahead. Is that Gori?
So, Peter, just a couple of things I wanted to share. I think I've been doing this now since November with you and Amrita, and we're in part 3. And found is that I brought that coaching mindset to every conversation. So, which really enriches the conversation, because you give that space as opposed to always having that temptation to talk. And I was moderating a panel in my workspace. I'm in the energy sector, as you know. And, my boss wrote back to me saying, that was a masterclass in moderation. I was like, yeah, that was a masterclass in coaching, actually, because you learn to give space to people. You learn that silence. We've cultivated that over the last over 6 months. Thinking to myself, I've been moderating all my life, right? I've been doing panels and panels for the last 10 years. But, for my boss to write back to me saying, hey, that was a masterclass in moderating a panel. Yeah, I know why that is the case. That's actually coaching at work, right? And that coaching mindset at work. And there were 2 more things I wanted to share vis-a-vis this in terms of reflection. Is it, they say that I think it's like something like 60% of communication is non-verbal. So because you become silent and you begin to listen more, you're picking up those non-verbal cues that much more as well. Which you're seeing the intonation, you're hearing the intonation. And otherwise, I just feel like, because we all have this temptation to talk all the time, you miss those non-verbal cues, which are such a large part of communication, right? And I think the last one was when, one day when I was like, oh, wow, listen, are actually anagrams. so yeah, that I just wanted to share that.
Wow. And I hear the excitement and the thrill of and the thing that I take out of this is that when I am in that space of holding silence or a space of inquiry, curiosity for that individual or that panel in your case,
right,
it's absolutely noticeable by those that are participating.
Right. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
There's like a demarcation of this is not what normally happens in a panel. This is not what normally happens in a conversation.
Right.
And of course, all of this leads to my favorite saying in coaching is allow or make the client do the work, because it's their work to do. It's one of the reasons why coaching is so incredibly powerful, because it helps to develop that person's humanity and professionalism.
Right. That's incredible. Yeah.
So I love the application and in terms of a panel. I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but I'm glad you said something because I'm actually going to be doing that thing here in a couple of months. I'll be doing a panel
Okay.
discussion, monitoring. So
Right,
I'm gonna keep that in mind.
Moderating,
Yes.
yeah.
Peter, speak less, and hold space more. So thank you for that.
Right.
I got
Sure,
direct
thank
benefit.
you.
Yeah, Gauri, they're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, I know this. Yeah, I see something into the chat box. Do you want to come?
Sure, Peter. Good morning, and how are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for asking.
Good to see you and be part of today's coaching mastery session. I just wanted to share. I feel like I really made a breakthrough as a training. I started with a client back in April, and just last week, I just felt like, aha! Like I really felt like. To your point, I listened more. I really was 100% engaged. And what I felt and learned was that my client really shared and opened up, became a little more emotional, and then shared this technique with me that she uses. And now I was like, that was amazing. I was sharing with me as she taught me something. And I really felt like that was just such a learning opportunity, experience. I wanted to share that.
Thank you so. Thank you. There is a saying that came out of India for me during the last 10 years, and it's something like the in me evokes the sharing nature of the person that I'm with. And that's what I'm hearing, is that by you opening up to listen more deeply, being more present, in turn evokes a openness from the client that I'm having a conversation with. There's a visceral sense of safety. There's a visceral sense of to get a passionate way of, I care about you, even though you may not say those exact words or those words at all. There is a feeling of intimacy. There's a feeling of this is bubbling up in me, and I, as the client, and I don't think they're real conscious of it, frankly, but it is a evocation of sharing something at a deeper level. And I get goosebumps even saying that out loud right now, because they come to a greater level of awareness. They come to a greater level of appreciation for who they are and what they're willing to risk by simply opening up. And then, of course, they can be a choice. They can act upon that or not, because they also have that safety. And I just hear that tender holding of space that you did for this client so beautifully, that allowed what you just shared to happen. So thank you, Chris. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Peter, for summing that up, because you're right. Safety is not something I really thought of, but it is a safe place that we've created. So thank you.
Beautiful. Coach. Yay, coach. Open up to other comments or people that have experimented a little bit with this coach-like conversation. What did you find different about it, if anything? What was the benefits to you? I hear somebody. Yeah.
Peter, it's Sanjeev. He's been raising his hand.
Sanjeev, there I see your hand. Hi,
I'm
Sanjeev.
sorry, I think it's dark here. Okay. Hi, Peter. This is actually, I've been really taking this particular, learning from you from the last week. I really wanted to do it beyond my coaching space.
Mm-hmm.
Want to experiment with the rest of the part of the life. So the first one, to the family, and I failed.
Yeah, I'm laughing with you here, not at you, Sanjeev, because that's the toughest test of all.
Yes, I did. But yes, coming to the other experiment, and that was, I have never tested this. And this happens to interact with someone on the social side.
Okay.
I found the person to be intelligent in the sense of professionalism, because the person studied at Utah University and then Helsinki. It's a doctorate. And then in the conversation, normal conversation, I found the person was been really going opposite than what the person doctored about. And the person was been doctored in psychology and philosophy kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'm going to learn from the person. And then when I came to know why the person is doing, became very curious that why the person has been doing other way around.
Why they're doing what?
And it was something different and very weird. So I was quite surprised, because my mindset says that if you've studied something, like if I've done the program, the coaching, I will be coaching. As if I studied something, I'll be getting into that profession, but not the other way around. So this conversation went on, and then I said, okay, let me wear this, my coach hat, the coaching conversation. And then I started. Sometime was fine. Then one person was been really talking with models and everything, and putting and trying to teach me. I said, fine. The more I took the person to the deeper level by the simple question. So I got a question: are you a professor? Professor? Then why these questions? Which nobody had asked me these questions. I said, do you find this very tough? He said, no, it's not tough. Simple question, but I never thought from these angles. I said, okay. So it is something like a person is doing beyond the norms of the humanity and been qualified so much. So the person has his own thought process, no doubt. I'm very curious to know that, because it is beyond my frame of mindset, and hence I'm curious. I have curiosity. I'm inquisitive. Fine for you to answer is fine. If you don't, I'm okay with that. And the person kept on opening up, peeling out, peeling out, peeling out. Again, the person, why I was asking question. I said, I'm inquisitive. Up to you. And if you want, you can stop. The person, no, I'm liking it. And the person has set up again a time tomorrow to have 1 hour just to talk. I said, look, we are not in a different profession. He said, yeah, I still want to talk. I said, okay, fine. He's not the person is not a client. I'm not the client, both ways. But there's a very, very new thing to know. This is also the mindset in the world today, was quite different than the mindset in which I'm living. And person has traveled, so am I. I think for me, it is opening of a new world, understanding why people are changing the motivates them, and what is the mindset, which is again going against the humanity. I thought of next round, I'll be using FCM model.
Beautiful. Wow. Wow. What a great experience. Thank you, Sanjeev. And thank you, Coach Sanjeev, by the way.
What happens tomorrow? And we are in a different time zones, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
So here's an example of two incredibly professional, intelligent, highly studied, highly educated men that are talking about, I assume that he was a man and a woman. So I think you said he though. But in any event, there's two people here that are highly educated, and Sanjeev, Coach Sanjeev, asking questions through his curiosity, not leading him in any way or shape or form, even asking him, are we okay to, you can stop here. You don't have to answer these things if you don't want to. And the person saying back to him, no, this is very, very interesting because these aren't hard questions, they're just different questions. It's allowing me to think about my life or whatever he was talking about differently. So much so, and here's my supposition, and not just from what Sanjeev has shared, but from doing this for 25 years. To have and ask questions and be listening 100% to another human being about whatever they happen to be talking about is more precious than diamonds and gold in this world right now. It is rare to be in a conversation with someone that is what I would call sacred space, or if you want to, safe space, for them to go deeper into their own mind, into their own motivations, into their own aspects, without, and knowing that that person on the other side that they're sharing is not going to come in and give them advice or judgment or telling them what to do. And that's what Sanjeev just outlined for us in this beautiful experience with that sounds like you didn't know him initially. And now this person says, wow, this is so powerful and so invigorating for another hour tomorrow. Okay. It's not magic. It's not magic. What it is two things, two souls coming together intimately and safely. Intimately in that I can divulge things out loud that perhaps I haven't been either aware of myself, or if I am a little bit aware of that, I am scared to death to say it out loud. Because in the world that I come from, or my programming or training as a human being for the 40 years of my life, that's not okay to question or explore what I am questioning and exploring at a just below the surface of consciousness. That's the power of coaching. That's the power of having the client, coaching client, as the case may be, case a friend or family member or stranger, holding a space for them to explore what they are curious about. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And it can happen in the first 10-minute conversation. And it can happen anywhere and everywhere. That's the other thing I love about this exercise. It doesn't have to be strictly within a formal coaching session. Okay, we're going to meet every Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, kind of like this live streaming right now. But coaching session for me and my client. Okay, it's not prepared. It can be. A lot of this is used in coaching as a professional coach. But this kind of a coaching can happen on a bus. This can happen in the hallway at your workplace. This can happen on the street walking along with a friend. I'm just to listen. I'm curious. I want to support you in your journey of consciousness, making choices for yourself. And I'm going to do it with my good advice. Now, they may look look at you and say, who are you? And what have you done with my friend that always tells me what to do? But power in this is repeatable. It's predictable. That when I hold space for another human being or out of a formal coaching relationship, they become more aware of what they want. I thought I wanted this, but I'm not so sure now at 35 years old. I've followed everybody else's instructions in life. I've become successful. But there's still something inside of me that's yearning for something different or something more fulfilling. Yeah, huge. Sanji, that was a stunning example of exactly what we're talking about here. I'm just holding that space for another human being. Well done. Go on to the next question here and see if we can stimulate more thought or more experiences here. This kind of a conversation, or could this type of conversation support a person's sharing? How does it support them? And things that we've been to so far, what did that individual come away with that they would not have come away with in a different kind of conversation where Chris, Jeeve, or had been, okay, so here, let me tell you what to do. Or Arshna, let me tell you what to do. You are so who have found the exact right person to give you advice today on this matter, because I've written a book about it. I've been doing trainings on this for the last 22 years. Whatever your backstory is. But by not doing that, how does it support the person that I'm listening to? Or how could it support the person I'm listening to? Actually, type in the chat box here. Let's do this. Just words. When I am this space and not giving advice, and I have a mindset of opening up to be curious for what's going on with this particular person, what's the benefit to them, or what could be the benefit to them? So if everybody could, it was in the live session on Facebook, if you could type that into the chat box. Cello will get it over to a chat box that I can see live. And for those of you that are in the room here with me, Charles, okay, I've got some things streaming in right now. Charles saying it helps them awaken their inherent creative power. That's a great way to say it, Charles. Absolutely great way. It's like a space for that inherent creative power to breathe, to be present, to show up. Love that. A person got a friend, a coach with whom the person can open up to. Yeah. It's like a confidant. It's like the only thing that comes really close to what we're talking about here in terms of a person really listening without judgment is some people have shared with me, my grandma used to do that with me. She didn't care if I came home with purple hair. She didn't care if I had a tattoo. She didn't care if I got a pierced ear, when I was 12 years old. I could just say anything to her and she loved me. Now, I did not have a grandma like that, by the way. One from a distance standpoint and one from a personality standpoint. But that's the closest I've heard to someone holding a 100% safe space for that individual to share to. Co-creating a safe, sacred space is magic. No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about that in my mind. Any other in terms of what's the benefit to the person that I am holding the space for. I'll give you one of mine. Again, a kind of a repetition, but it's so powerful, is that it supports the development of that person. I mean, think of that. If I've been told what to do, how to do it, when to do it, where to do it by those people around me that love me, first of all, my parents, first and foremost, they wanted the best for me. They wanted me to have things that they were not able to have because of their upbringing. Then my teachers, they say all of them wanted the best for me. People that I reported to at work in my career, different careers that I've had, they didn't wish me harm. And they steered me in terms of how to get ahead in that organization, or how to be noticed, or how to be promotable, or how to be liked, or how to be promoted, and all those things. And if you think about all of those different influences in your particular life, they're all external. They're all external. So when my parents said, and they did thousands of times by the time that I was a teenager, is no, Peter. And I took that at face value. They were older, they were my parents. We know better. Okay. At some point in time in life, it's like, what's that inner guidance directing me, calling out to me? Hey, notice me. When do I start paying attention to that? And that's the space creating that they can go to. Like the fellow said, I think that Arshana was talking about, or Sanji was talking about, is, yeah, they're not hard questions. They're different questions. They're coming from a different perspective. They're coming from another person's brain. And I never thought about it that way. I never approached it that way. And this can be in a whole range of human development. So coming back to the chat box, okay, they have someone to trust. Yes, it's a safe space for people to share whatever they're ready for. Like the grandma, anything anyone ever shares with Peter Redding is lovingly received and honored as and complete. Thank you for that. That's really quite true. Thank you for saying that in me. Appreciate that. Okay.
Peter, one more thing I'd just like to share. At the end of our November sort of part 1, you had shared, and I agree with that, is that you had shared with us as one of your closing, this is the first day of the rest of your life. And I think that was very powerful. I don't think it was something you just said. I mean, you really believed in it. And, then I was seeing something yesterday which said, don't be pushed by your problems, but be led by your dreams. And I found that so powerful. It reminded me of all the work we've done with you, because, in many other situations of other forms of therapy, nobody is going back to your dream state. Like, no, saying, what do I really want? Like, what have I just forgotten, that I really always wanted? And it could be the Ferrari dream, it could be any dream, but why did I forget? And it was so powerful. I mean, had I not done that course in November, I don't think I would be thinking about my dreams as much, for instance.
Wow. You bring a big smile to my heart. Bring a huge smile to my heart. Could you put that quote in the chat box?
Sure. Yeah.
Don't let your problems
Emerson who said that.
Yeah. Categorically love that. I don't know if I've heard that quote before, but I would embrace that 100%. Absolutely. It also triggers my mind that is in that place of silence, in that place of safety, in that place of intimacy that we've been talking about today. The things that are innately inside of you, to refer back to what Charles just shared with us, those things start bubbling up because they're fragile in the sense of, when I did bring that up when I was 6 years old, then I was told, no, you never make a living doing that. So study that kind of, and again, because your parents loved you, or your guardians loved you, or your teachers loved you. And they were those things that perhaps were inside of you, because I believe that they've been there for a whole lifetime. They are in fact inherent. They are in fact innate. In other words, they're there. But have they gotten any attention? Have they been watered, nurtured, allowed to grow? And in the kind of space that we're talking about now for another human being, whoever it might be, those things, because they are innate, it's like sunshine has come into a dark place. The seed that's been there for 35 years or 60 years, doesn't matter, is still there ready to sprout. And so like a sense of nurturing comes in, using a metaphor, some hydration comes in to allow and support growth of that thing that is inside, that hasn't been given the light, hasn't been given the honor of blooming, growing, developing. This is powerful, powerful stuff. It just is. It sounds so simplistic. Yeah, just listen to somebody else for 10 minutes. It doesn't get simple than that. But how I'm listening is a huge component of what we're talking about. Is it an honoring listening, or is it the judgmental listening? Again, you may want the best for that person. I assume that you do. And this is a higher way of supporting. It just is. It just is. Okay, let's see what else I've got here. I've kind of lost track. Frankly, I've been so absorbed in this, and thank you for the interaction. I really appreciate that. So here's advantages that I see that I get by being the listener, by being the space, by inviting, my curiosity from a neutral standpoint, and not from a I want you to get this particular life lessons today, right? So Coach for Life, Coach Life Station, number one, it develops a different mindset. I was in an executive mindset and let's get stuff done and productivity mindset for the first 45 years of my life. That's the way I was brought up. My dad was in the business world. There were financial things that had to be met every quarter. There were to-do lists that were, formalized on the house. Okay. Has this been done? Has this been done? Has this been done? So on. Achievement was a huge part of my upbringing. So, yep. Okay. So a Star Scout. When will you be a Life Scout? When will you be an Eagle Scout? So that was just part of the developing. And now, as it's not up to me for that other individual. You can talk about whatever you want. You can make as much progress or not as you need to or are able to. That's a very different mindset to let go of, okay, so we have to achieve something at the end of this 10 minutes. It was a waste of time. That's the way I would have viewed this when I was 25 years old. Okay. So this is starting to develop of having a different mindset and actually coming into the conversation like what we've been talking about with a different mindset. Number one, great way to learn about coaching. Interested in becoming a coach, or it's a great reminder for those of you that are a professional coach, the significance and importance of this particular exercise, coaching. And as we've heard today from several people, I'm now using it in other places in my life. Woohoo! Hip hip hooray. I have the vision of someday 7.5 billion people having access to this kind of conversation, this them to explore, allow that inner inherent magnificence to blossom without it being judged. We'd have world peace overnight. We would. All right. You can do this every single day. I assume you have a conversation with somebody every day. And if not, have it with yourself and hold the same space for yourself. Ooh, there's an idea. Yeah. As opposed to judging myself, oh, I didn't get all the stuff I wanted to get done today. I'm not as efficient or spectacularly brilliant as the that's next to me or that I'm living with in my household or my family or my school, my schoolmates. What if I had a conversation with myself and I kind of sacred space for me? It might change everything. And I can do it. I can do this. I can do it at work. I can do it at home. I can do it walking. I can do it in my own solitude. Everywhere. It's just, yeah, just so bright. How do we get it to the world leaders at the UN? Good question. Good question. The ICF recently has adopted a mission statement to say that coaching, we want to support coaching to be, how do they exactly say it? Have coaching be a part of every thriving society on the planet. And I'm signed up for that. Because I think that's exactly what we're doing as a profession. And it starts with every single individual doing kinds of things that we're talking about today and understanding the power of it, understanding it, committing themselves to do it. And again, not when you are a trainer or a teacher, you have to train your material. So, there's also places even in that where you can hold a space for them to do their own exploration. So, yeah. So that's the advantages for you. The advantages for your sibling, the advantages for your children, for your grandchildren, for your neighbors, okay? It helps their development. It helps their own self-development as being. They feel supported. They can feel it by just you taking the time, the precious time to do. I've had people and that have gone through similar exercises here over the last 25 years, and they'll come back the next day and train. I've known this. She's been my friend since university days. We've known each other, and we've talked consistently about all the issues that have come up for either one of us. 18 years or 25 years. About family, about marriages, about love, about angst, about careers, about health, everything. And I had a conversation with her last night, which is like what we've been talking about today. Okay, it's a little bit different form, but similar in nature to the mindset that we've been talking about today. And I learned things that I never knew. Okay. Now this is people that, and even siblings the same way, marriages that have been gone on now for 30, and they had this kind of a conversation, and one of those members of their marriage says, wow, I was not aware of that, or I something new, or I had a new insight into my partner, because it's safe, because it's intentional. Yeah. Supported. They also feel valued, and valued for their choices, their options, their strategies, their direction, their journey of life. Again, which is in real scarcity in the world, has been. Hopefully we can change that through coaching and having coach-like conversations. And as simple as this sounds, they feel heard. And all kinds of company surveys that I've been involved in, or part of, or research or seen in my last 40 years, the number one reason that people leave their organization or don't feel like they are part of their organizations, that they're not, they say surveys, no one wants to hear me. I'm not heard. Surprisingly, it's not, they didn't take my or good suggestion and implement it. That's not it. The a priori, the prior desire of that employee was, I just want to be heard. Nobody's listening to me. There is an innate need as a human being to be heard. And this is, again, an opportunity to occur in a most honoring manner. Bucky Fuller shared his vision of for 100% of humanity. How do you articulate the personal vision and commission you just shared for 7.5 billion to have this empowering information? Yeah. And this is part of it. This is one of the reasons why I do what I'm doing right now. And I appreciate all of your supports and stories and insightfulness and experimentation. And this is open to the public. This is, publicly available. My one limitation in this is that I can only speak English. And so hopefully those that, Google Translate will put to a language that 7.5 billion can hear. Yeah. So where do we go from here? Next step of development for you as a coach after practicing coach-like conversations and the mindset that comes with this. And what I would propose to you is it's offering a prospective coaching client what we know in our profession as a sample session. Some people, it's a chemistry session. I like that, but we'll refer to this as a sample session. Designing a sample session, practicing many types of sample sessions in terms of a development ultimately as a professional coach. So next week, we're going to be about sample session. And in the progression of the stages of coaching, or the stages of a coaching and sample session is a previous session that is more formal than a coach-like conversation, but it takes some of the principles that we've been talking about now for last week and this week, and to more of a formal structure and a formal setup. Let's schedule a time as opposed to an impromptu conversation that we've been talking about last week in this coach-like conversation. Okay. And the sample session we'll have 2 weeks of this. So the next 2 weeks of our live streaming will be dedicated to this session. We'll be talking about, let me see if I've got one more thing here. Yeah. So next week, it's what's the purpose of a sample? What's the structure of a sample session? So we'll talk about both of those things. And this is elevating now the coach-like conversations that we've been having for 2 weeks. A significant notch to organize it, structure it. What is the purpose of that in terms of the potential of this person saying, hey, like you. Okay, if it's to me, okay, thank you, Peter. This has really been very helpful and very insightful. How can I work with you, or how can I do a regular basis with you? And then so I offer them a sample session to even get to a deeper level of chemistry of, is this the right kind of client for me? Am I the right kind of coach for them? Are they even coachable? All those kinds of questions that we start getting into from an ethical standpoint as a professional coach. So we're going to make a giant a catch as catch can conversation to a more formal, is this a good match? And that's why a lot of people call this a chemistry session. With that, I think we are at time. We are virtually at time. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being the awesome being that you are, that's compassionate, loving, caring about your fellow man. With that, I will say, God bless. Namaste. See you next week.